Hey Sam, how's it going?
It's going good.
This is Matt. Taibbi.
Oh, Matt Taibbi. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, I just noticed.
Been a long time since you've
you're
spoken.
being kind of a hypocrite. Being kind of a hypocrite because you're upset that Joe won't have you on your show, but you talk a lot of shit about the Twitter files, and yet you won't just say it to my face. So,
I've actually, if you'll recall, I gave you an open invitation several years ago, and then the only other thing I heard from you was when you complained to me about criticizing Glenn Greenwald for his promotional interview of Alex Jones. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I thought it was really super unfair how you treated GG, and that's Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah.
And the other day I was hanging out with some of my buddies, TC and JJ. That's Ted Cruz and Jim Jordan, and we were just talking about how libs like you kind of don't get it, you know?
Like in what way?
Well, like the thing about the Twitter files is it's like a super slippery slope. First, they make polite requests for light content moderation in accordance with the terms of service of a private company. And I said nothing because I didn't need content moderation. And then the next thing you know, they're coming around to journalists asking for them to pay their taxes because they forgot to pay their taxes. And I said nothing because I wasn't a journalist. And so it's just like a super slippery slope. And I just don't think that you really understand that.
I got to be honest, I did not fully understand everything you just said. I'm going to cop to that.
Well, exactly. I think that pretty much proved my point. And anyhow, I just need to get back to my Substack, but I wanted to say, I think you're being really unfair about the Twitter files, and
All right. Well,
have a nice day.
Yeah. Well, it was great. It's great reconnecting. It's great to hear from you. Okay. Oh boy. Tom from Yakubia. Sam, being that the internet has Matt Leck's net worth at
the free state of Florida. This is Bruce.
Bruce from the free state of Florida. What's on your mind, Bruce?
Well, I just, speaking of Matt Taibbi, he's always been like a very, kind of the darling of liberal, reporter. He's been on Amy Goodman many times, and he had this huge reputation, which I kind of think he and Glenn Greenwald are kind of the two sides of the same coin in that, he is always, if you put it into the perspective that, he takes kind of a Putin talking point line, on Ukraine, he complains that our aid to Ukraine is just, a bunch of political pork, with the Twitter files. These aren't Russian bots. These are liberals, all the bots. That's what he's uncovered. It's just like Glenn saying that, the Democrats are controlled by the CIA runs the party.
Well,
and
my sense is that there's some similarities there without a doubt. I think that Glenn is frankly a lot more disingenuous. I think Matt may be sort of entering that territory, but I think with people, what can happen to people is, particularly if you are contrarian, and to be clear, Matt was also sort of a contrarian back in the early aughts as well. And he had a specific type of journalism. And I think that I think, his perspective has been sort of warped on some level by, what I perceive was an unfair treatment of his book that was written while he was in Russia, and he got Me Too'd in a way that I thought was not commensurate with what he had done, frankly, and was unfairly treated in that way. And I think,
he had a great baseball career in Russia.
Well, I don't know about his baseball career, but I'm saying that that I think he was unfairly treated with that, and I think it sort of broke his brain, to be honest with you. Glenn was just, I think, is just sort of, it had to do with just sort of like him feeling disrespected by Rachel Maddow, ultimately. And I think he's always been sort of a libertarian type of guy who, some people really crave a certain amount of celebrity, and it will warp their perspective on things too. So, there's some similarity. I don't think these guys, I don't think Taibbi is a Russian agent. Let's put it that way. I don't know where Glenn gets his money. He gets it from a lot of different people. And I imagine much of it is from, sort of libertarian sources and business deals that he's made. I don't know where they get their money. But he's just following a path that's going to make him lucrative. And I think Taibbi is just following a path that makes him feel, feel better. But
I just find it very interesting that he calls his podcast "Useful Idiots." Like, why would you pick why would you pick that as the topic of your?
Well, I think that honestly,
the title of your podcast.
Honestly, I think that I think it is explained by my perspective. I think that he felt that he was effed over, and this is a way of sticking his finger in those people's eyes. Like, that type of appropriation is exactly consistent, in my mind, with someone who is acting out of a personal grievance. And that's what I think is going on there.
I just feel like he is kind of the origin of the Russia, and it's all Russiagate. He's basically... Glenn was. And I think, Taibbi adopted it. But I appreciate the call. And can I say one thing about Alvin Bragg?
Sure.
I think that it's kind of interesting that he has chosen this case to prosecute when he passed on the tax case that was a much stronger case, much more consequential. And he basically he had several people under him quit who had worked up that case because he wasn't acting on it and prosecuting it. And I think he didn't want to take the fire for, prosecuting Trump on that. And it's kind of ironic now that he's brought this much weaker case. That could also be pled down to a misdemeanor that I think he's taking a lot of heat.
I think personally that I have a theory that I only talk about when I'm drunk on the show about why there may be cases that follow trails of money that are more difficult for prosecutors to pursue. But you got to wait for me to be drunk to talk about that again. Appreciate the call.